Hello world, it's me, the man from Oz. I'm a bit tardy today. Yes, it's 22 minutes past one. I'm 22 minutes late. I've been caught up doing other things. And yeah, I got to put some socks on. My feet are cold. Excuse me. Do you like the halo? Yeah. Uh, they're clever, aren't they? I mean, these sort of things are really clever. They really are. Oh, 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 yes. I suffer from cold feet, cold hands, cold feet. Oh, yeah, excuse me for doing this while I'm live. Anyhow, oh God, and I've left the door open to the shed. Excuse me while I close the door. Oh, I'm back. Yeah, and I'll get rid of that thing. But they are clever. Yeah. What do we want here? As usual. Local weather. It's another cool day. It's a little overcast. It's 19 degrees in the shade at the back of the house, and it's oh, that's 23 degrees in my shed today. Yeah, that's 40. What is 3 degrees warmer than it was yesterday? Yeah. It's a little bit humid. Oh, well, the humidity's way off the dial again. You know, it goes up to 100, but it's way off the dial. I seem to remember that the humidity is the only thing that can be greater than 100%. I mean, go figure. I don't know. I've often heard it referred to, you know, humidity can go up to 110, 115, 120%. I'd have to check that out, you know. I have to get onto Google, onto the internet and find out. Anyhow, I picked up another subscriber. Graham Arthur, he sent me a nice message, said he came across me, and thank you, Graham. It's always nice to acquaint myself with new people. And I want to say thank you to Alan Langford. Alan Langford's a Facebook friend, and he does watch some of my live streams. So again, hello, Alan, and thank you. And of course, my dear friend George over there in Virginia, in the United States. I went to talk to you on Skype last night, George, but you weren't on. And I thought, oh, there's something happened to my friend. Probably just an oversight on your part, was it? Doesn't matter. I'll get on you maybe tonight. And I am going to reply to your comments later on today. I have got other things to do today, and I'm totally unprepared for this live stream. But there's nothing unusual about that either, because it's just, you know, I just take it one day at a time, whatever comes on the day. I've usually got things planned out, you know, little things to do, but things just pop up with monotonous regularity. And well, like my wife, she had a little knick-knack she picked up over from my late mother's house, and she wants me to clean it up with the wire brush and paint it. It's well, actually, I'll show you because it's quite interesting. Excuse me. Right, here we go. Now, some of you older folk, around my age or older, will probably recognise what this is. Yeah. It's a rest for the old flat irons that you used to put on the slow combustion stoves, you know, on the wood stoves, the wood heaters. And my aunt, who lives in Grenfell, which is in the southwest slopes and plains, and actually it's the birthplace of Henry Lawson, a very famous Australian poet. And I can remember when I was a kid, we'd visit the house there, and I remember seeing her ironing on one particular day, and she had this assortment of irons. There was a little one for very delicate things, and it just went up in weight. I think one of them, it was a big thing, could have weighed about 2 or 3 pounds, maybe even more. And she didn't have one of. I don't remember her having one of these. She used to put the iron straight back onto the wood stove or the wood oven, and but I think this one here, this belonged to my wife's grandmother. Yeah. So she wants me just to take the rust off it and give it a coat of paint just to preserve it for her. I don't mind doing these jobs at all. I don't mind doing. I've been storing a lot of stuff of late, and I have posted some things on Facebook, I think, and on Google Plus. And I've done a couple of videos on a few things I've done. But yeah, so I just thought, there's probably a few out there who recognise what these are, and for those who don't, well, that's what it is. It's an iron rest. Yeah. Excuse me. I could have a sip of tea. Yes, no. You'd be disappointed if I didn't have a sip of tea, wouldn't you? I'd be disappointed too. I have been disappointed on occasions, I've gone to the mug and it's been empty, but not now. No, I made sure I had a full mug of tea here, and it's hot too. Whew. I'm sorry if I'm making too much noise sipping. Boy, it's good, but yeah. Now, where was I? Well, on the news, well, it was big news, wasn't it? The Waco bygone massacre. Bad stuff, isn't it? Ridiculous. I don't understand the mentality of people like that. I don't. If you want to be a member of a club, whatever club, I don't care. But as long as you mind your own business and mind your P's and Q's and obey the law, I just don't see what these people get out of being involved in these sort of clubs. It's all about intimidation, isn't it? You see, here in Queensland, the Queensland government banned bikie gang members going into in the clubs and pubs and all this together, because they said that it was to intimidate other people, other patrons and what have you. And I agree with them wholeheartedly. I don't think they should be allowed to do that, because they get off on it, don't they? All these biker groups, they all get off. But basically, they're all a bunch of cowards. You could get them by themselves, and they probably wouldn't say boo. But in a group of them, well, they got all their fellows to back them up. But yeah. So I applaud the Queensland government what it did. I certainly don't applaud the owner or the manager of the Twin Peaks restaurant who allowed that meeting to go ahead. He must have been fully aware of what was going to happen. In fact, the police were fully aware what was going to happen, because they had the SWAT team on the outside waiting for trouble. You would have thought that perhaps they might have had a greater contingency of officers there, and they could have searched all the vehicles and all the bikes, saddlebags and all this for weapons and so on and so forth, and confiscate them. I mean, it's bad enough with the knives and knuckle dusters and all this sort of stuff, but when they start open firing with firearms, I mean, good grief. But that's no different here in Australia. Yeah, we've had a lot of problems here with biking gangs. We had the Milperra massacre. Now, it was in I think it was 1974. It might have been 1976. I'm not quite sure, but I know it was in the early to mid 70s. And Milperra is, I don't know, I suppose it'd be about 20 k's southwest of Sydney, and it was in the parking lot of a hotel, I think it was. And anyhow, there was 7 killed, and I don't know how many injured, but and so there's nothing in the news about these things happening. And of course, we had only a few years ago where there were no firearms used. Thank goodness, because it happened at Sydney Airport, I think it was, where a group of gang members there got into a fight, and it was a very vicious fight. And one chap ended up being killed. He was hit with one of it was a metal bolo they used to put the ropes on, separation ropes to form queues and so on. But it goes on all the time. I mean, here it's just getting worse and worse. Or maybe it's because we hear about it. We hear about it all too often these days. I mean, the news is thrust down our throats 24/7. Gone are the days where, like it was when I was a kid, the news was on at night. I mean, sure, you could put the radio on and listen to the news, but not like it is today. The news is everywhere. Once upon a time, as I said, when there was a kid, you'd put the television on. I think the news was on about 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night. And if it wasn't for that and the daily newspaper, my father always bought the morning paper, which was the Sydney Daily Telegraph, and he always bought the afternoon paper, which was the Daily Mirror, and kept up with the news that way, because we certainly didn't have the technology available that we have today, which I don't know. Technology is a great thing. I love technology. I really love technology. I really do. I don't understand most of it, but I really like it. But yeah, we hear about everything first before it happens. That's what the news is like, and we're kept up to date all the time. I mean, I'm not a big television watcher. I do watch a few television shows, but when you got the television on, there's updates with news all the time. Thank goodness for the mute button, eh? I don't know. I do know who invented the mute button, but I just can't remember it. But thank God for that little button right there. I mean, the mute button. If I could meet the man or the two men who actually invented the mute button, I'd get down on my knees and kiss their shoes. I really would. I think it's one of the greatest inventions of the 20th century. Of course, the greatest invention of the 20th century, I think, penicillin. But anyway, I'm digressing. I was talking about the news, wasn't I? But yeah, it gets to be too much at times. My wife likes to watch the 5 p.m. news on channel. No, it's not. It's the 4:30 news on Channel 10 here in Coffs Harbour. It's a Sydney station, and because sometimes the news that I normally watch, which is on Channel 9, which is another Sydney station, although it comes out of Newcastle, which is, I don't know, I forget how far it is, 150k north of Sydney. Comes out of Newcastle. I like to watch the Channel 9 news, and she watches that too, because for sometimes there are news events in one that isn't in the other. Go figure. Anyhow, I'm getting dry. Now, for someone who wasn't going to talk very long, I'm not doing a bad sort of job, am I? No, not doing a bad sort of job at all. The trouble is, I'm still getting a little bit confused. I tend to digress a bit, and that really throws a spanner in the works for me. But when you do these live streams, I love doing these things. I think it's basically to entertain people, and if people can laugh at my antics, look at this silly old bugger. Well, that's a good thing, isn't it? That's a good thing. Yes. Oh, and yes, I have made up my mind. I have decided to go away. It probably won't be until early June. But I was thinking about it yesterday. I've been doing a lot of thinking about it, as a matter of fact, and I think it will do me the world of good to get away. I probably won't go away for as long as I normally do, which is for the entire winter season. But I might. Who knows? But I think it would do me the world of good to get away and just take it nice and easy. See some friends on the land, and just have a different environment around me. I'm just looking out the door of my shed. I'm not looking at anything in particular. My wife's got a couple of things hanging on the line, and although the sun's shining, I don't think there's any risk of any rain. But anyhow, with these hearing aids, I'm hearing things I haven't heard for a long, long time. I really am. And pardon me, I'm actually finding it a little aggravating at times. That might seem strange, you say, well, here's a bloke who hasn't heard some things for a while, now he's hearing me, finding a bit aggravating. But I do, because I was sitting here last night and it was raining last night. We had 9 mil in the gauge this morning, and I could hear with great clarity the drops of rain dropping off the tree at the back of the shed here. It was boing, boing. Well, not quite that noise, but you know what I mean, don't you? The sound of a drop on a tin roof. But anyhow, I eventually fogged it off. I just want to check this bell again. It's supposed to be a doorbell. No, it still doesn't sound right. No, that's definitely not right. Thank you very much. Well, that's fine, but this bell is definitely not right. No. Anyhow, it doesn't matter. What does it matter? Yeah, but yeah, these hearing aids are they're really good. I mean, they've almost given me super hearing. And the beauty of them is, of course, that if I don't want to hear anything that's going on, I can just take them out, or just turn them off, or turn them down. Yeah. Now, oh, okay, I don't know. Uh, it's gone. Whatever popped in there then has gone. And see, this happens all the time. Yeah. If I don't write something down when it pops into my head, I'll forget. And not that I would have been able to write it down anyhow, because the thought just popped in there and then popped right out again. But yes, yeah, about the news, it I was trying to see there. I don't know. Look, Matt, I think I'm wasting my time. I think all you folk out there who may be watching, George will be watching. My friend George will be watching. I did say, didn't I, George, that I haven't replied to your comments yet? Yeah, I did. Yeah. I will get around to replying. And I've got to reply to Alan Langford on Facebook too. I made a mention in yesterday's live stream about Johnny Depp's 2 dogs coming out here, or he brought them out here to Australia. And Alan's a bit of a funny bugger. He's very eloquent in his writing. He's a very clever man. And he said that maybe they need dog passports. Dog passports. I thought that was very good. Dog pass. Actually, it's probably not a bad idea. But yes, that was just one of those things. Like they go on about these things on the news, don't they? I mean, really, in one respect, it was nothing. Sure, on the other hand, it just shows how easy it is to import or to bring animals into this country and get away with it. Well, almost get away with it. But how many people actually do get away with it? How many people bring things into this country? We know a lot of native animals are smuggled out of this country. Yeah, so if they can smuggle them out, they can smuggle them in, can't they? Yeah. Yes, it was. And look what happens. Look what happened back in when Australia, when the first fleet landed here in 1788. They brought in like sheep and cattle and what have you. But it wasn't long till probably in the early 1800s when land was settled and the English landed gentry decided they wanted to be able to hunt like they did in the mother country. So what do? They imported rabbits, didn't they? Yeah, they imported rabbits. And what happened? Well, the rabbit population just went berserk, absolutely berserk. I mean, I can remember when I was a kid, my uncle had a property in New South Wales, and the rabbits were in plague proportions. I'd seen footage in the old newsreels at the pictures of the rabbits, and they were just everywhere. I mean, if you'd have been a shooter, you could have sat in the one spot and just shot rabbits from sun up to sundown without moving, except for pulling the trigger. Yeah, and I remember we were travelling down the dirt road to my uncle's property, and I was sitting in the back. I was a kid, and I wanted to sit in the back of the ute. Of course I did. And next thing we stopped, and I thought we must have been at the homestead. But so I stood up and turned around and leaned on the roof of the cab, and what I saw, I just couldn't believe. Even to this day, I still can't believe it. It's stuck in my mind. I can see it with. It's so vivid. It's like my image here. It's so vivid. There were just rabbits, an ocean of rabbits streaming across the track. I mean, there must have been, well, they could have been 20 or 30 30 deep, like side by side, and they were just, I don't know how long this wave of these rabbits were, but there were just tens of thousands of rabbits every day. Unbelievable. And that's what happened, you know. That's what happened because the landed gentry wanted to go out and hunt rabbits like they did in the old country. Hey, what? Tally ho, pip pip. Of course, they brought the fox out here too. And of course, you know, we've had a lot of other things brought into this country that, well, it seemed like a good idea at the time. But I tell you what, that rabbit, the rabbit plague, it was terrible. God knows how many numbers of rabbits there were. They would have been in the hundreds of millions. You know, just absolutely devastated country. They do. I mean, we had a couple of rabbits that became regular visitors in the backyard here, and they started chewing away at my wife's plants. And I tell you what, those two little buggers, they really started to play havoc on my wife's plants. So we ended up putting wire under everywhere to stop them coming in, and had a word with the owner. And of course, everything is fine since then. We haven't seen them in the yard. But you know, if the two rabbits can call, you can imagine what hundreds of millions of rabbits are. And they did. They absolutely played havoc on the country. Absolutely turned the good production country into dust bowls. And it wasn't until what, the early 50s when myxomatosis was introduced. I think it was around about 1950, 1952 maybe. And it took a while before it was introduced or got into other areas, especially my uncle's area. I think it was around 1957 I got out to around my uncle's property, and it just absolutely devastated the rabbit population. I think it accounted for about 99.9% of all rabbits. Yeah. Terrible disease, but that myxomatosis. You know, I've been a hunter and a shooter for 50 years, and I've come across rabbits with myxomatosis, and it's a sad and sorry sight. It really is, to see a rabbit that has pus running out of its eyes and out of its nostrils, and it's blind. You know, I've had rabbits bump into my legs. You know, the poor little buggers. I mean, no animal deserves that sort of thing. They really don't. You know, the only thing you can do is to put them down. But it really is it's a terrible disease. You know, I don't like poisoning any animal. I really don't. But you know, at least 1080, it works. Well, it works quick. You know, it's still cruel. It takes up to about 48 hours for the animal to die, and they probably die in agony. If seeing a fox suffering is any indication, and I did see a fox suffer from taking in 1080, or it might have been strychnine, I don't know. The poor thing, you could see the pain. You could actually see the pain this poor animal was in. I had to go. I was surveying at the time. I was a field hand for a bloke. It was here in Costa, as a matter of fact, when we first came here, and I had to go back to the vehicle and get an axe and put it out of its misery. I really did. The poor thing. But anyhow, look, I'm rambling on, and I'm getting dry. And just for all you folk out there, for one last time before I say toodles. Good. No, that's good. Anyhow, until tomorrow, I'm going to say thank you to all who are watching. Thank you for watching. And Boy Scouts salute again. Live long and prosper. Can't do it. I could normally do the Mr. Spock. No, anyhow, folks, I should be back tomorrow, but we'll see what happens. So until then, bye for now. See you, folks.